everybody, welcome back to Parents vs. Gaming. This is episode 46. It is July 17th. I don't know about you, and where are you again? Louisiana? Alabama? Louisiana?
I'm Louisiana.
Louisiana. It is hot
right next door to you.
Listen, it is hot as crap here. It's like 108 degrees.
Yeah,
it seems like.
Same.
So, listen, like I said, this was episode 46. My name is James. I'm the host of Parents vs. Gaming, and my amazing, beautiful co-host, Miss Kia Kane. Kia, how are you?
Good. Very
So
busy.
the house, we did just record this. So if you're watching this live, you get a second update. But what's the breakdown on the house? What's going on?
Breakdown on the house. Flooring started today, and he's already got most of our master bedroom done. So that's good. He plans on having it finished along with our laundry room and our living room almost completely done. Everywhere else should be, and then he plans on being done by Thursday with everything. All the flooring will be in by Thursday are his plans. So it is moving and trucking along. So we're looking at a move-in date around August. Sometime in August is what we're thinking.
And then you were telling people you're going to be taking a break because you hate everyone.
I do not.
Wait, isn't that what she said, Azzy?
I love everybody.
She said, I need to take a break because people are mean to me.
No. Adzi makes sure nobody's mean to me. No. So when we do go to move and stuff, I will be taking a week or two off of stream and the podcast so we can get everything moved in and ready and settled down. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Of course. If your mod does not troll you, are they really?
Yeah, I think that's a must for your mod. It needs to be a troll a little bit. But no, we're definitely going to be sad when you take your break, but we're super excited for you to get in there. And I know you talked about your stream room is going to be ready to go.
Yes, I will have my stream room, so we will be good to go.
Are you going to put up fancy lights and everything before you get in there?
Yeah, my husband actually has been looking at lighting for me. He's actually looked at getting me a separate mic. He has been like looking and didn't even tell me until he was like, hey, go look at your wish list. I put some things in there that I think would work for you. And I was like, wait, what? You've been looking for? So yeah, I think he's just as excited for me as I am. So
nice. Yeah. Hey, I'm excited for you. I just want to know, are you going to be like that kid that went viral a couple weeks ago when people were like, who's this person that killed me? They looked him up and they realized he was like 12, and every time he killed someone, he turned his entire back behind him like into a rave. He'd be like hitting the buttons. It was like, and like smoke and flames and fire shooting all up. Like, are you getting crazy?
No, I probably won't get that crazy. No, thank you. No fires in my house, please.
I could just imagine Kane, hey, Mom, what's this button do?
Oh, God, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Listen, I know kids, they see it one time, they're going to be like, let's do it all the time. Listen, someone in chat says perhaps, so maybe we are leaning that way. I can't wait to see the finished project. Yeah, your wish list just got some stuff added to it. Add some ventilation so it's like a big flame comes out of the top of your house every time you get a kill.
Oh God, yeah. My neighbors are gonna love me.
I mean, for me, my neighbors would never be upset because I don't kill anyone in Apex. So no, I would have to do it for every time I got killed. That'd be the only way anyone's gonna get to see the party. I'm so bad at that game. So let's jump into our topic a little bit. So episode 46, we're gonna talk a little bit about being parents versus gaming. Xbox consoles in the classroom. An article came out that kind of blew up, a story that got picked up on Reddit. And we'll read through the article here, and then we're going to discuss kind of our thoughts. We'd love to hear from the chat, hear what you guys think, and we'll just kind of see where the topic takes us. So over on Game Rant, and of course this article was brought to our attention from our researcher, which is Quick, which is someone that we do a lot of gaming with. He does a lot of back-end research and finds some stories for us for the podcast once in a while. So he comes across this one. So on Game Rant, and credit goes to the person that wrote this, was Kevin James Billings. Teacher using 20 Xbox Series X consoles and Game Pass to teach English. So we'll go into the article real quick here. So the educational system is always looking for ways to modernize, engage students meaningfully, and make the classroom experience more convenient for the students and the teacher. COVID-19 saw an increase in this as the pandemic meant teachers and students were interacting digitally, which was difficult, has been opening new doors for teachers to use the digital space in their classes. One English teacher took this to its extreme by turning to video games, teaching their classes with the use of 20 Xbox Series S consoles, a handful of Nintendo Switch systems, and one PlayStation 5. The Reddit user that goes by Anonymous Cereal Bowl, because of course they do, is the teacher in question who shared their console haul and their early plans for the video game-centric class. As mentioned, the haul largely consists of Xbox Series S systems, most of which are the standalone systems and at least 2 Fortnite bundles connected through Xbox Game Pass, along with multiple Xbox controllers and battery chargers. Anonymous Cereal Bowl's haul also included 4 Nintendo Switch consoles with the multiple Joy-Con and wired controllers and a Horizon Forbidden West PS5 bundle, alongside a DualSense controller and charging station. I can already see all the people upset about this are just people that couldn't get their hands on a console. Get the consoles,
right? Yeah. 100%
so
the people that are
here on Reddit, they talk a little bit more. Anonymous Cereal Bowl, which is the teacher, again, on Reddit says they were open with the commenters, many of whom asked what the intent of the class is, how the class was approved, and how everything was paid for. Regarding the class, the teacher said it is a senior-level English class, effectively teaching video games as literature, and will see students play games and analyze the narratives of said games. As for the other 2 questions, Anonymous Cereal Bowl said the school is a Title I public school in Oregon with grant money used to help pay for the consoles after the school board was convinced by the teacher that they can teach literary concepts like the hero's journey and unreliable narrators through video games to try and improve student engagement. Here it says most of the comments to Anonymous Cereal Bowl's post, other than questions, were largely positive about the idea of the class and encouraging. Some added the teacher may want to reach out to Microsoft and personalities like Xbox's Major Nelson about promoting or supporting the class, though the teacher hasn't gone into detail about doing either. As mentioned above, teachers are always looking for new methods to engage their students in ways that are new but still reinforce the class teachings. Narrative, in particular, is an area of games that has improved over time thanks to better technology and more creative storytellers entering this space to create games like 2018's God of War or It Takes Two, both of which feature narrative themes commonly seen in literature and film. Only time will tell, though, about whether the class proves to be a success or not. I think it's a good idea. I hope the person reaches out. For those listening to this, whether it's recorded or live or you're on the audio, there is going to be a link in the description for this article. I'd love you guys to go and give Kevin Billings a click on this because he is the one that wrote up the article and is bringing attention to this teacher. So big props on that. But Kia, your first thoughts when you read something about this, what do you think?
Well, I was kind of curious as to how and what they were doing to use it as. And then I was reading that he was actually doing it for a literature English class. And I was like, wait, what? How is that going to work? But I can kind of understand it because he was playing, he was basically having games that were more of the story-based games. So being able to, so I can understand that from that aspect. Now, if they were doing something that was like Apex Legends or Call of Duty or something to that effect, I'd be like, okay, no, you're just bullshitting, but all right. But when I was reading the games that he was listed for, like that he was using his or having his kids play, I was like, okay, well, that I can understand because they're actually having to go through the story and actually having to listen to the narrative and pay attention to those things. So I think it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious as to how it's working out for him.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to. And
honestly,
we will have to keep quick on top of this because he's going to have to follow up on this and look for some research in the future to see if there's any follow. Or what people say, but it's really at first it's funny that you were like, oh, I wonder what kind of games. But when I first saw the headline come before I even clicked on the link, I quick sent it over to us on Discord, and I thought, is this some classroom? And, like English, people go over to China and teach kids English. So that's what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be,
Oh yeah.
from a country that they're teaching anyone just to speak English in general, and they were going to use video games because it would help interact. And I was like, oh, that's going to be
Yeah.
cute. But when I started to read the article, I was like, oh, wow, this is like a U.S. school.
Yeah.
And,
which is even more interesting.
Yeah. and I agree with you after reading it. And then my thought is, okay, literature. And then I started thinking about, okay, what did I'm older, obviously, so the books that we read my final couple years of school are much different, and a lot of younger kids start reading more advanced stuff today. But I remember things like Of Mice of Men, of course, at the end of junior high. Then you had like The Giver, and you had these stories and these books that you were tasked with reading. And then it was true, whether it was the Odyssey, so you went through all the Greek, the hero side of things, or like The Giver's about a utopian society and things like that. Being able to take that into a video game, because we talk about this all the time, how the narrative in video games can be really expansive and really intense, and it is just like some movies or a book, obviously. So them to be able to like feel like they're playing through the story, and then I'm sure they've probably got to write reports and the same stuff as like reading a book and then doing a book report, but they've got to break all that down. But the only way to go through the story is to play it. I really do think that has a chance at like really creating student engagement, and I think it really
give
can.
them the Dragon Age series.
Oh, listen, you're trying to kill somebody.
Intense.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know. I mean, that's the other thing too, right? I mean, it's a school, it's a public school, so the rating on a game is definitely going to matter when it comes to that, especially when school funding and everything is involved.
Yeah.
But simple things like they mentioned, It Takes Two is a huge narrative to it for such a simple game. And to be able to break down, maybe the story is all in art. So maybe it helps them break down how art can be used to tell stories. So now when they, now you're taking kids that would go to an art museum and look at a painting and just say, wow, great painting, might look at it completely different because they're learning the art side of things. I think there's so much potential in what they do.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just like it was anything. All kids learn differently. Nobody learns the same way. Some kids are hands-on, some kids are not. It's just how they work. I was more of a hands-on person. Like I needed to be I needed to do it to be able to learn how to do it. So I was thankful that I did actually have a few teachers that were like that and knew that about me, and so I was thankful for that. But not every teacher is in public school, especially, is like that and will cater to you. So it's nice that they're using different methods to teach kids. But I mean, educational wise, I think it's kind of neat that they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
There are educational games out there for any parents that are looking to maybe your kid, because sometimes, let's face it, kids forget things before they go back to school because summer, blah, blah, blah. And if you do have a kid that likes to game, there are some educational games out there that you can download for your gaming consoles that you can have your kids play to just kind of keep their brain fresh before they go back to school.
Yeah, especially a lot of games adding puzzle elements to it, right? Maybe it's just a simple game. I know Peppa Pig is one, Paw Patrol is one.
Paw Patrol. Yeah.
It's interesting to see, like, it's like, I mean, just recently, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out with a new game. And when I was a kid and there was a Turtles game, listen, it was hard. One was good. There was a lot of bad games. But the fact that this like cartoon that I was watching on television, I could play it and live in that world. I mean, and today, I mean, these kids are playing something like Paw Patrol and Peppa Pig. It literally looks exactly like the television show. That's even way more advanced than when I was a kid. I'm sure it just kind of loses their mind. So
in our day it's just pixels.
Yeah, and then when they add the fact that they put little puzzles in these things, they're learning without realizing that they're learning. And I think that can go a long way. Now, as far as the older kids, again, I want to get back to kind of what Kevin Billings was alluding to. how this can really change things. And it's nice on Reddit that for the most part, people were very supportive and positive. But
Just
Kia,
surprising.
Kia,
That's on Reddit.
as a well, hey, listen, they got to defend their video game thing, so they don't want to crap on their own genre, right? You know what I mean?
I know.
You got to think they're smart sometimes. They stick together when they have to. But so my thought, and I know U.S. Bobber, I wish he could have been on this episode. He just jumped in the chat. As a parent, you hear you're sending your kid to school, and their literature class, their English class, is going to be 100% done through video game storytelling and narrative video games. What's your first thought as a teacher, as a parent sending your kid there?
Parent?
Yeah.
I guess I would probably question it, but I would also be I would be curious. I would want to know, like, like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? I would want to know more than just, oh, your kid's playing video games. Okay, well, what? Like, what games are they playing? Why are they playing them? I would probably just question the teacher and ask.
Mm-hmm. Now, Bobber says in chat here, Jay says, nothing should ever be taught with a singular format. Now, based on the article, field trips, book, games, projects, etc. Based on the article, Jay, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It doesn't say this is the only way that he's teaching in this class. He just said
it doesn't say that.
It doesn't say, so it could be that this is just one of the ways of teaching. It doesn't. I can't say that it's strictly the only way. Like, we're doing literature, we're not reading any books, and we're just going to play video games. Nothing says there. But I agree what Jay's saying here. He says field trips, books, games, projects, etc. must be well-rounded to cover all students. If it is supplemental, then it's great. And I would agree with that. As much as I love video games and I want them to be mainstream and for people to get off the reading a book is different than playing a game. You're not going to get the same out of it. It's not that they're not different. I understand that.
You can.
It's that you can get the same things out of it. And I like what Jay's saying, well-rounded to cover all students. Maybe the person that will lie, if they've got to read 3 books in school, they're going to go get the Cliff Notes and try to watch every movie or documentary on it. They'll spend more time watching movies and documentaries and reading Cliff Notes than they would have taken them to just read the book.
Yeah.
And then half of it, because it's a movie, so it's not like the book. The teacher already knows they didn't read the book, so they didn't do it. But maybe that student is going to do great playing
with the story game.
And they're going to be able to break down and do a book report on that.
And that goes back to me saying every kid learns differently.
Yeah. So I will say, me as a parent, as much as at first I'd be like, oh, this is awesome, super excited for my kid. I would want to make sure that everything's being covered. I do want my kid to be able to read. Maybe that's why they got the 4 Nintendo Switches. They don't even talk in those games. It's just subtitles for everything. They're like, blah, 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 and then 200 lines of script. You know, you want your kid to read, and they're 6 years old, and they're annoying you that they can't read. Only give them Nintendo Switch, and only let them play Nintendo published games.
Right.
Because they're going to be like, Dad, Mom, I don't. What's it saying? I don't know, son. Maybe you should read. Learn to read, and then you can understand what it's telling you.
Exactly. Figure it out.
I think Jay's all excited. He wants to play the Battle of Carthage or do the Odyssey in VR, which would be pretty cool. Hopefully they update the graphics based on the old movie. I'd love that. Now, as far as from the teacher's perspective, Kia, what would be your if you are the teacher and you've got a parent coming at you that's completely against this and like, listen, let's just be honest. We all know there's that parent out there that's probably rushing to the school board trying to shut down the class.
100%.
Unfortunately, that's just how people can be. They it's their way, no way, and maybe it's an old school way. What do you think the best way is for them to help them understand that this is a good avenue to go down?
If it's possible, have them come sit in the classroom. Have them come sit in the classroom and watch as the teacher teaches. And if they have questions during it, they can, like a student, raise their hand and ask. Or after the class, ask the questions. You know, like there's nothing wrong with new ways of teaching and learning.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of people are very closed-minded, And the only way you can really get to those people is if they'll do something like that. Okay, well, ask them to come sit in the classroom and be like, well, I really want you to understand where we're coming from and how this helps. Because like everybody's, like I was saying earlier, every kid learns differently. Maybe that one kid, like you said, that would literally go watch movies and read cliff notes instead of actually reading the book will do better with something like this, and will actually learn and achieve something and actually get a better grade doing that than if they would being forced to. I love to read, okay? As someone who I love to read. I've always loved reading, even as a kid. But when I was in English class, I absolutely hated being forced to read a book.
Because you didn't feel like reading that particular book?
I did not like being told what book I had to read. I didn't like it. It irritated me. So a lot of times what I would do is I would skim read. So for those of you who don't know what that means, it's literally like you just literally like you just go through and you read really fast, but you like pick out the highlights of it. So I would skim read all the books because I couldn't stand being forced to read the book. Even if it was a book that I might have picked up on my own and read it, I still wouldn't do it because I was being forced to do it. So I was definitely that kid. I couldn't stand being told that I had to read this specific book, even though I loved reading. So for someone like that, it might work for them. They might learn, they might do better. So, I mean, as the teacher, I would just ask the parent if they had questions to feel free to come sit in the classroom and watch it work, Yeah.
No, I agree. And it it was the same for me. I didn't mind reading as a kid, and I think I think I had been presented a little bit more with books from whether it's my parents or just the opportunity to go out and pick any book I wanted. We never really went to like the bookstore and Barnes and Noble or something like that and walk in and be like, okay, we'll buy you anything you want. You just pick whatever book you want. It wouldn't have mattered if it was a sports book or maybe it was a video game, follow-up novel, or it could have been related to anything. Maybe I would have read more, but my experience with reading, it was the same. It was, you have to read this and you have to have it done in 2 weeks, and you've got to have a 10-page report and you got to break it all down. It's just like, I was like, no, not doing it. I'm watching the movie, or I'm going to read the last page, or most of the time I just asked a friend to tell me what happened, and then I wrote. I was pretty good at writing, so I just kind of made up my own. I was very shallow on what actually was in the book, with a lot of my opinion to it, or why I thought something was this. So I would find like 3 main topics, and that's what I would base even going into my senior year, that's what I would base my stuff on. I would get A's all the time. They say the writing was great, but I would just focus on like 3 things and then talk about how it related to my life or something like that. So I always did a different spin. But I can, now granted, back in the late 90s, Jay Bobber, who's in chat right now, or somebody in your chat might be able to attest to this, there were not really, the biggest story-driven game I can remember back then was Oregon Trail, which we did play in school. But there was no like hardcore narrative driven game that we could break down and do this. So I think that's something else is you've got to look at how the times are evolving and they're changing. You can take a 4-year-old off the street today and can probably use an iPhone better than we can. That's all they know, right? I was laughing. I took my son, and we get trained without realizing we're being trained. And I noticed this. Timmy died from dysentery. I died a lot from dysentery in Oregon Trail. There was a lot of grave sites with names my grave site said a lot of bad things. I had to change the name a lot because I didn't want to get in trouble from the teacher. But with technology and the way we just the things that change. I took my son. My fiance and I took my son. He's a little over 2. Took him to the aquarium. Yesterday actually. And as you go through the aquarium, it's like almost like an indoor zoo / aquarium, but every exhibit has like a big tablet with the picture, and then it like just kind of like naturally changes graphics and talks a little bit about. Then it even has a QR code on it. You could scan with your phone and you could get more information or listen to something, which is cool. But I was standing there and I watched this lady with her son. She was a little bit younger. She's probably mid-20s. With a little kid she had, I'm assuming son. But she went to 4 different exhibits, and I just kept watching, and I was confused. And every tablet she went up to, do you know how she tried to interact with them, Kia? She put her hand on it, and then tried to like blow it up like a picture. And I was like, wow, we're like trained. We're trained to assume that like if I see this picture on this tablet, that I should just be able to go over and like enlarge it to see what this thing looks like, and then shrink it back down or swipe or whatever. And she was like tapping it, trying to swipe it, and then she put 2 hands on it, and then she would go to the next tablet. And I was just like, this is like I didn't have the heart to go over. Hey, that's not how these work. I mean, these look like old screens that have been there for the last 20 years, something very simple, but
probably as long as she's been alive.
Yeah, but it really got me to thinking how times really have changed, and we are trained to interact that way. And someone that's older would never think to put their hands on that and enlarge it. They'd be like, "Ooh."
Had to use a magnifier. You're right.
Yeah,
That type of thing would have been so great for Where's Waldo. Like, been able to just
yeah, kids be cheating in Where's Waldo. Then they'd be
right.
taking screenshots and putting it on their phone and then blowing it up.
Yeah.
I haven't done that recently at all, I promise. Listen, cheat to win. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Michael Jordan said that.
Oh. Okay.
So back to the classroom. How could you see, Key, say this is super successful. Maybe somebody goes in there and it's not, and we're talking the literature part. Of course, we can put video games in the school, and we can go down to the, game design and art design and all. That's completely different genre and class, and that's its own thing. Yeah. But in relation to whether it's a math class or whether it's specifically a literature class, to break down stories and really dive into the story side of things, could you see this evolving into something bigger? 10 years from now, that it seems to be a regular thing. Maybe it's a class type thing. And for those that say, "Oh, it'll never be like that," I think if any of you tell me in the United States, at least in the 90s, that you didn't have to watch the movie Glory and then do a report, then I don't know no book about Glory, but with Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman and Matthew Broderick, we watched the movie about the Civil War, and then we did a report on it. And I know kids recently where I've coached in high schools, they do the same thing. They do watch movies that aren't with books, and then they do a report. So could you see video games getting into that mix?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we've been doing it with movies for a long time, actually. It's just part of the way technology has grown and times change. Like you said, things change. We have to, go along with the times. And if this is, I think it'll be good, as long as it's kind of like regulated and making sure. I mean, honestly, and that's kind of on the teacher, to make sure that they're doing what is right, and not just letting their kids goof off and not actually pay attention. So I think it could be. If it's done right, I definitely think it could be, and it would be very helpful for some of those kids. And
I think it's in a roundabout way, bringing this to light and seeing how much attention it's gotten. It's funny enough. It's like for the last year, we just see a lot of wins for Xbox, and if we get back to the video game side of things, not so much the parental side of things. But it's like another feather in the cap for consumer-friendly side that Microsoft is trying to get out there and boast this image. And I can totally see them jumping on this bandwagon really quick and trying to help out the classroom and trying to be there. And just a couple weeks ago, they were talking about the different kid games and the educational side of for younger kids. Xbox was just doing that. Of course, they've got the adaptive controller for any, whether it's a handicap or special needs type, not just kids, but adults as well. And that works with any console. It's not just an Xbox exclusive adaptive controller that they have. It can work with anything, PC, PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox. So it's just interesting to see that Xbox kind of continues to find these niche ways of really, I guess the best way to put it is putting themselves into a mainstream that's not just the video game side.
Yeah.
They've got their Game Pass, and now you can get Game Pass on a Samsung television. It's an app on the Samsung
Oh,
TV.
wow.
You don't even need the console anymore to do this. You really see how Microsoft is coming at this from a completely different angle, right? And again, this just seems to be another story for them where they are trying to be more than just your average video game console like a Nintendo or PlayStation. They really want to be mainstream everywhere, which was something obviously they tried to do with the Xbox One. They wanted it to be the all-inclusive entertainment system, yada yada
Yeah.
yada, which blew up in their face. But I think they missed the mark, and it looks like this round they are hitting the mark, and that really is just getting their name brand in the face of as many places as absolutely possible. So
They just want your money.
yeah.
Don't let them fool you. They really
of course.
just want the money. They don't really care about anything else. They're just like,
I mean,
how
at the end
can
of the
we
day, of
market to get
course, it
more
is.
money?
You know, yeah, of course. At the end of the day, it is a business, and that's how it works. But it's interesting just to see all the different avenues that they've attached themselves to.
Yeah. They're going for world domination.
Yeah,
Don't mind.
I mean, they're not the ones trying to make a metaverse, so
they're just like be sneaky about it.
yeah. I mean, it could turn out to be that way. You know, I dread the day that Phil Spencer leaves Microsoft and Xbox. It would be it's going to be a scary day if someone comes in there and is dictator and is not the great public speaker and trying to make everything all about the gamer and about the person and not so much about the company. Microsoft is the same like Dorothy Mantooth. I read that in your chat. So some closing thoughts here, Kia. We've kind of talked through a little bit of this. You think this is a win for the video game industry and the nerds, as we say, like us?
So.
Towards the people that are anti-video game?
Yeah, I think so. As long as it's done right, I think it will be, for sure. I'm curious as to how this is going to go, though. So I definitely want to be keeping an eye out.
Yeah. Like I said, it'll be.
I am curious.
I'm with you. I want it to be handled properly. Like this teacher has definitely opened up a can of worms that if they don't do it the correct way, can really put a black eye to the video game side of things and people that actually care and are constantly like us. We do try to educate and let parents know that there are some positives and benefits to it. And I would hate for somebody to come in and next thing you know, we're reading a story 6 months from now how they got these things school funded and all this going to be literature and all they played was Call of Duty Warzone and Apex Legends the entire time. You know, it's I don't want to hear about how they're breaking down the story in those games. I know that there's a little bit of story. I'm not trying to hate on anyone that plays those games, but it's not.
Oh yeah.
Not the same.
It's not the same. Yes, it's not the same. There is lore behind Apex Legends and Call of Duty, but it is not the same as what it is in those other games because it's not a narrative. It's not. You don't get to play through a story mission in Apex. That's not.
Yeah, I'd love to. And if anyone in chat,
amazing.
I'd love to think. Can you think of any off the top of your head? I mean, in the article they mentioned God of War, but I imagine there's no way, right? There's language, there's violence, there's nudity in some of those games.
Well, okay, yeah.
What kind of story-driven game?
This is a senior class, though, right?
Senior class.
This is a senior class. So honestly, I don't think that language is necessarily going to be an issue.
Of course, I don't know what it's like in school today. Like maybe dropping an F-bomb every 5 seconds is no big deal anymore.
Now, I mean, I don't think that it's okay to do it like just, you know what I mean, like just talking to your teacher and stuff. I don't think you're supposed to. I know at least you weren't supposed to in my day. But I think teachers still frown upon that. But I don't think that it's necessarily going to be an issue as in, oh my gosh, they got virgin ears. Let's face it, teenagers.
So can you think of a game off the top of your head that would be a narrative, story-driven, hero-style adventure like like the teacher's describing? Ooh. That would be school appropriate?
I'm trying to think because there's a lot of story-based games.
Fable.
I was about to say Fable.
I don't.
Fable's
I don't
one.
think. No, Fable's not a good one.
Why is it not a good one?
Half the game is going around and trying to nail somebody so you can try to create a family, or you can be completely evil or good.
Not. No, it is not. That does not have. Maybe that's how you played it. But that is not how that is. Not half the game. No, sir. I don't think so.
There's a good portion of it.
No, it wasn't.
Next thing you know, they're playing GTA.
Portion.
They're playing Grand Theft Auto. Look how great this story is.
To get no. The story part of it is phenomenal, and if you can play it, I don't know what Fable James is playing.
I love Fable, but there's definitely knocking boots in those little cabins.
Okay, yeah.
And you can get, you got to get the person to fall in love with you. You get their hearts.
Well, that's what high schoolers are doing too, though. Okay, all right, we're off subject here.
Touché.
All right, Fable actually wouldn't be a bad one.
I mean, I do like the It Takes Two.
It Takes Two is would be good for them. I'm trying to think. There's quite a few story games. You know what? I was like, Spyro actually has a story behind it. If people are playing with it, like if you actually listen, like there's a story behind it.
I mean, that's where I talked about maybe the art story. You could get into the art side of things.
That would be more of the art side of the story. Yeah.
I mean,
there's puzzles in it that you have to solve, so that would be problem solving there. But I
mean, Inside and Limbo are good games. You've got
Horizon Zero Dawn is a good one. I know he was talking about it, but it's the second one, from what I understand. They should play through the first one before.
Yeah, I mean, he just bought the bundle. One. Well, they bought their PlayStation bundle was that.
Yeah, I know it was the PlayStation bundle, but I think they should definitely play through the first one and then the second one.
Yeah, there's also some great indie games like Celeste, because that talks about mental health and stuff, right? Isn't that what Celeste is based around? So there's a lot of independent games. Firewatch is another one that I really think some of those smaller narrative. I mean, those are games they could get through in a couple sittings of that class. If you imagine the class is about an hour long.
You're trying to think of games that would be simplified, like easier to just go through.
Yeah, I do think that kind of brings down to some of the indie games, which.
Yeah, because a lot of the games that like Fable, Dragon Age, Horizon Zero Dawn, a lot of those are not ones that you can just be done within a couple of classes.
Yeah,
that's.
I just started playing a new game. I just started playing a new game on Game Pass. For anyone that has Game Pass, whether it's PC or your Xbox, I highly recommend this game. It's called Road 96, and it's got a political agenda to it. Not like it's trying to persuade you, but it's about teenagers trying to get across the border, like leave their country because of what's going on in politics. And it's like a ton of short stories, but every time you play through it, they like have a different character and a different path, and they all kind of have a bunch of little endings. I haven't finished it. It looks like Adzi has played it, but I'm about a couple hours into it, and it's nothing like I thought it was going to be, but it is really interesting. So I think something like that could bring up a lot of debate and topics, and you could expand that more than just the narrative part of the game. You could really take that into a lot of different directions in the classroom. So it's like I said, it's definitely exciting. Ender jumped in the chat a little bit, just saw the trailer for that. Yeah, Road 96 if you ever want something to play real quick on one of your story nights, Kia, that would be a great game. A great game to jump into. You could probably get through quite a bit of it. You could probably finish the whole thing in probably 2 streams. Just because from what I understand, you want to play through it a couple times.
Yeah.
So, but it's short, and each little story is short. I mean, I'm talking like 30 minutes. Maybe that character kind of goes through their arc and story, and so you can really take I started to rush through some of the stuff and skipping the subtitles and stuff, but you really should kind of sit down and enjoy the ride and really dive into it. But so like I said, I'm with you. I'm excited to see what this teacher does. We'll have to have quick keep tabs on this, follow the Reddit story. And maybe we'll see, of course, it's summer break. I'm not sure there's school schedule up there, but sometime around Christmas, I'd love to revisit this and see if we got any kind of update on what they're doing. Hey, maybe we could even reach out, bring the teacher on an episode and get a full rundown. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
so
figure out.
We'll get we need to get quick to find out some information. We'll send out an inquiry and see if we can get them to come on the podcast. I think
for sure.
that'd be really great.
That would be really, really cool if we could.
Yeah. Kia,
I'm curious.
start making calls.
Start making
You're
Why
friendlier
do I gotta
than
do
me.
It? Because I'm friendlier? How? How am I friendlier?
I think that's going to be the end of this week's episode. We'll wrap it up right now. Kia, thank you so much for coming by. As always. I'm super excited for your house. I know you've been posting photos. It looks really, really cool. I really like the Herbert. Is that a new thing that you had for the new house?
Yes. Well, not new. There's actually a really funny story behind it. If you guys want to hear.
Yeah, you can't say there's a funny story.
So the pediatric dentist that I take Kane to, there was a lady there. Her last name is Abear. Well, she had a sign made, and they misspelled her last name. They spelled it Herbert instead of Abear. So for those of you who don't understand that, Abear is only Hebert, and Herbert has the extra R in it. So, so a lot of times we get called Abear because people skip over the extra R. We live in the South; they're used to Abear.
Yeah.
So it was really funny to hear that Abear got misspelled into Herbert because it's like, what? How? Well, so they remembered that they had a Herbert as a patient. So, and one of the ladies said, "Hey, we have a Herbert, and she's actually coming in today with her son." And so when I got in, they're like, when I went in and they're like, "Kane," I was like, "Yeah." And so they wrote down, they scheduled me, or they did that. And she goes, "Hey, that's the Herbert." And so lady coach, she goes, "This is going to sound really weird." She's like, "But would you like a sign?" I was like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, so I had a metal sign made and it was supposed to say Abear, but it says Herbert." And I was like, "Oh." She goes, "I don't want anything for it. You can just have it." And I was like,
I mean, yeah, okay. No, I get it. Yeah.
So I got a free metal sign that says Herbert when I went to the dentist office.
Okay, that's
for my son. So I was just like, "Oh, okay." And we've been trying to think what we were going to do with it here at our house. And then when all this happened, we decided we wanted to put it on a wall over there because this is his papa's old house. So we're taking over it. And so this is kind of we also had a little metal hummingbird that's going to go underneath it. And we're actually going to put all the different Herberts underneath the Herbert sign so it can and have his grandparents in the middle. So it kind of like gets a little bit of a commemoration to them.
I like it.
Since we're taking over the house. But yeah, so it was like super exciting, but it worked out really well that they misspelled that lady's last name. So
hey, there you go.
I got a free sign on the deal.
It looks really cool for those that have seen pictures, or if they haven't, maybe you should post it in your chat a little bit later.
Well, it's all in my Discord.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. Make sure you guys join her Discord, the bakery.
Discord. So you can see all the updates.
So you're not taking a break yet because you're not ready to move into the house. So what's the streaming schedule like? What's happening?
Right now we're sticking to the normal scheduling as much as possible because I have had to have a few cancellations where I didn't stream a certain day.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just because one, either I wasn't feeling good, or two, I was extremely tired from a lot of the work that we're having to do at the house, trying to get it moving as fast as possible. This house has sit for so long, so trying to get everything moving. So I have had to take a few days off here and there just because. But I usually stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and then of course the podcast on Sunday. And then a little after the podcast, I usually will just play a little bit afterwards for like an hour or so. But yeah, so you can usually catch me on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
That's awesome. Well, for me, guys, I'm the worst at trying to keep a schedule. I do try to stream on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and of course we have the podcast Sunday nights. The 3J Gamer, you can find me on Twitch or TikTok, or however you want to find something ridiculous or funny or make fun of us for our bad gameplay. Lately, it's been No Man's Sky and a little bit of The Cycle and Tarkov sprinkled in here and there. Also, don't forget, we did partner with ID Life. So for anyone that wants a 10% discount on any of their products, they have energy drinks, they have health supplements, vitamins, literally anything you can think of. A lot of really, really great products. All you have to do is go to parentsversusgaming.idlife.com. You'll see their entire store there. Anything you guys want to get, you're already in. There's no code needed from that point. You'll be on our site and just pick out what you need that is going to help you out. I've been using it for about a week now. I do feel like I have more energy. There's even like, once you buy one thing, you can like fill out a survey and get some free vitamins, and it sets you kind of on a path. They have a detox box. They've got a DNA box to help you figure out what you should eat. There's all kinds of different stuff. It really has started to help me quite a bit. I've definitely noticed a little bit of change and not feeling so tired. Of course, I've added working out in the morning, Monday through Friday with my fiance,
fancy.
which is very humbling because I'm not very good at it. We did it's like this workout room and a sauna.
Mm-hmm.
So the first day was like Pilates, and I was like, isn't this just stretching? And then I was sore for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just make her mad because I make comments like that, but it's because it looks like it should be easy.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's freaking exhausting. Yes, working out in the morning is a great way to get the day started, and then I try not to go back to take a nap because it's like 6:30 in the morning when we do this. So, but it has been it is obviously it's been helpful. So, like I said, parentsversusgaming.idlife.com if you want to check out the store, and if you see anything there, great. It does help the channel out. Other than that, thank you guys for stopping by. Check out Kia's stream. She's a lot more entertaining than I am, and go to her Discord to stay on top of that. That's the bakery still, correct?
Yes, the
All right,
bakery.
guys. Thank you guys so much. This has been episode 46, and we will see you guys next Sunday. Have a good rest of the night.